Okay, today I'm going to do this headstock and binding. I've really wanted to do this style of headstock and binding, but I've been reluctant because the miters are so exaggerated. But it's something I could do while the neck is setting. And I routed a channel relief for it, and I'm just finishing it up here with some chisels and getting that curve and that point nice and tight compared to the outside shape. Just get this last little bit to do, a little bit on that curve there, but I won't bore you with that. Just kind of sketching out that space, and yeah, I'm eyeballing it. I've gotten pretty good with that. Just coming in with a curved gouge at same diameter. A nice little square slice. Keeping it square to the bottom. For binding, you go in. A straight chisel is good to keep everything square. Get that last little bit. Do a little test. Now, binding, these plastic strips get melted in with acetone, and this black layer is almost non-existent. It's a pain in the neck, but it melts into the surrounding white and kind of thickens up. That looks pretty good. I'll check it all the way around. So I have it started here. You can see the top 3 layers, and I use hockey tape. It works really, really well. It doesn't get attacked by the acetone, and you could buy tape just for this, but it's really, really expensive. And here I'm priming the wood. It evaporates quick like ether, but I'll keep it moist. But hockey tape, it just works so good. The adhesives don't come off into the wood, doesn't make a mess, and it's cloth. You could apply this stuff down through the hockey tape. And right now I'm just kind of priming it, and it almost instantly evaporates. It's when you get it kind of locked into place and coat it from the top that the acetone seeps down in there and gets trapped, and that binding melts and makes it just a unbelievably solid bond to the wood, the porous wood. I've got my corner all mitered up at the same angle, and that's the thing that's really hard with some of these angles, especially on this headstock. And you'll see in a moment here. You get out towards those tips, it's really hard to get those angles right. And this stuff is so thin. Now my left thumb is still holding that cream, the white binding, as I'm priming this, because it'll melt in over time. This one, for the sake of the video, I ended up getting it like the opening photo the same day. It's best to let this set for a day or two. And I'm pushing it in with my thumbnail, and this stuff is so soft. They're so thin, it gets really soft, really, really easy. You gotta kind of work quick. I'm taking my time, being critical with my little angles there. Still holding it with my thumb. Third hand would be great, but everything wet with this stuff. Line my miter up as uniform as I can keep it. I'm still holding it, kind of pushing it in. Some pre-cut pieces of hockey tape. Now this, see, I'm getting it, brushing it in from the top. It doesn't seem like it, but it does. It soaks right in, draws that binding right into the wood. And where there's no air, it kind of seals itself off and creates this bond. Coming through with my hockey tape. It takes a good 3 to 5 days for this to like harden up. Keeping it forced into the corners, nice and square. Making sure I don't move that corner where it's spliced together. I'm gonna go all the way around the headstock with this. Just keep that stuff soaking down in there. You could even brush that through the hockey tape, being cloth. So happy I discovered this stuff. You can't pull too tight here because the binding gets really soft and you could actually distort everything. Here's the other end. And once again, keep it wet. Oh, did you catch it? Yeah, a little spring there. That's good. I'll get that stuff down in there. And after a couple hours of being taped and those chemicals being trapped in there with no air, it just binds right to the wood. And again, keeping it square in that little routed out section just for it. Going nice and snug, but not too tight. Give that a clip. So it'll be in my way in a minute when I get around to that end. That end, that is a lot of patience. And measuring up for the next little strip. Go all the way around, wrapping up like a mummy. And while that's setting up, I could clamp this and grind the heel, or you could take your beloved mask and soak it in ether. Just take your mask, saturate it thoroughly in the ether, get all the air bubbles out. Don't breathe the ether. You don't wanna ruin the surprise at this point. Get it good and saturated. And this shirt makes my ankles look fat, but I'm usually naked in these videos anyway, so no one really notices. And then you take your mask out of the ether, don't wring it out, and put it on as normal. And enjoy the ride. This generally will last eternity, but when you come back, you'll notice that only about 15-20 minutes of time has passed due to the clock on the wall. When you come back and our project's pretty set up, everything's firm, untape it, and this is a tiny little spoke shave, a little bronze spoke shave I have. It does a pretty good job. And I cut this binding so it would be a little bit proud. And this guitar gets painted black, and you paint right over the binding and have to re-scrape it again without hitting the paint. That's a whole nother little nightmare in itself. But I'm gonna take this down a little bit and see, our miters came out nice and crisp. I'm glad I made the decision to try it on such an extreme headstock with all those angles, but I'll have to post pictures of it painted. Thanks for watching.